Hi guys, welcome back to Geekism. My name's John C, and today we're carrying on even with our build series in Planet Coaster, and we're pretty much finishing off the western area. There's still a few little gaps, a few little bits of scenery that needs doing, but I'm pretty much sure I'm going to be doing those off camera because I really want to make a start on our next area, which is going to be pirate themed, and we're going to have a good look, a real nice close-up of a bit of roof there for some reason. So the first thing we do today is build the station at the front of the area. I originally wasn't going to do a station actually, I was just going to have a sort of bridge area where the train went over. I was going to do the station in the next area and then maybe every other area after that, thinking that this was actually quite close to the entrance and people wouldn't use it. But then a few people pointed out that I should have a station here, and also it makes sense that if people are on the other side of the park, they may want to use the train to get here specifically. I was thinking that people will only use the train as they enter the park, but actually they'll probably use it as they move around. So instead we take away a part of the track and build the station here. It's nothing too fancy, and it isn't quite finished either, to be honest with you. What I would like to do is a couple more smaller buildings at the front, almost like a station masters kind of area. So it's not quite finished, but I think I'll probably end up coming back in my in some spare time and sort of finishing off the area off camera, because like I say, I really want to move on to a new area now. So we build it up here with some brick and wood. It's a relatively standard sort of shape and size, really. We just kind of do a box around the station. One thing I did have a little trouble with later on is you'll see the stairs. We struggle to do curved pieces with this wood. There isn't any available. The other thing I noticed in a moment is that a lot of people walk through this building because of how the pathing works, and I was looking here if I could just take away the corners there, but I couldn't. I can on the right there, but not on the left. So instead what I do is place a couple more bins, and then actually realise that I can just go inside here and just spam bins, and then the guests at least won't walk in there. You might get the odd janitor wander through the wall to go and empty the bins, but for the most part that helps with their AI pathing, and they keep out of the way. Absolutely loving Planet Coaster still, having a great time in it. I don't know if you've been watching my Let's Play series, but we've been working through the new festive scenarios in that. We also do our community showcase videos as well, where we look at some of the stuff that the fantastic Planet Coaster community and you guys as well, the Geekism community, are building. And but the channel's also branching out into a few other bits as well. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did a video on Astroneer, a great little sort of indie space survival game that's shaping up to be really good fun. And yeah, I'm just loving how the channel's going at the minute. All the new people coming and all the old people. We've got a really nice little community here, and it's very much appreciated. I'm having a great time. We should be doing more live streams as well. This Friday will be the last live stream of 2017, so if you're available, come and join us on Friday morning in the UK. That is, it's GMT time, 10 AM until, it won't be too long this week I'm afraid, so it'll probably be till about 12 PM or 1 PM, something like that, and that will be the last one of the year. Obviously if you can't join us live, there is an archive put up afterwards. Okay, so here we go. We're using some of the wooden pieces here just to fill out the building and moving those across. That's pretty much all we do with the station, really. I think I need to go back and maybe add a few luggage and sort of crates and things just to sort of theme it out a little more. Here, just deciding on some of the signage options, and you'll notice here that I leave the sign blank because I need a name for our western area. Please, if you can have any suggestions, please pop them down in the comments. The one, whichever one gets the most likes, or the one that looks pretty good, or just the one I like the look of, I'll use. I love these oil lamps, these sort of big station lamps. We didn't really use those very much, but I think they turned out really well. We end up moving those bins because we've got all the bins inside. So here I want to do sort of close off this pathing area so it wasn't floating. There wasn't any wooden curved pieces that were the same wood, so instead I had the idea of using these planks and just sort of these logs even, and just sort of rotating them, changing the height slightly, and moving them around. Unfortunately, I feel like when they were finished they looked a little bit too rustic, and whilst they would work really well if we were doing like a log cabin or sort of like a hunter's lodge up in the woods, it would still very much fit a Western theme, but here, because it's a station, it should really be more of a sort of structured building. So when I stand back and have a look at them, I realise that I don't like them and get rid of them. Instead, what we use is one of the stone pieces, and I think it actually turns out quite well in the end. It's a little bit different, and it isn't sort of traditionally sort of Western, but I think actually it works out quite well in the end, and we theme it with some lighting and a few other bits and bobs later on as well. And yeah, I think it works out quite well actually. We end up making this exit path a lot longer in a moment, and you'll see why. We have a little gap just to the side of the exit path that we want to fix and cover up. I don't know if that picks up on the microphone. My cat's running around making crazy noises. Yes, on the other side there's a little gap. There's a little gap on this side as well, but I actually just copy over the toilet building in the end because I think we need some more toilets, so we sort that out. But on the other side here I've got a gap, and I had the idea of using the train. When I posted a picture of the Wild West mine train entrance that we'd done on Reddit, it went down very well. Somebody commented saying that poor train only ever gets used in crashes. And it's a fair point. It's one of those things that I've actually seen a few people now use a crash size, although as isn't really a crash, it's very sort of higgledy-piggledy and it's that sort of theme. So I thought it'd be nice to treat the train with a little bit of respect, and we actually end up adding a second station, so to speak, a little bit further down the track there that isn't actually useful. It's merely a way of having the station, having the train in the western area. So finishing off the roofing here with a little bit of detail. Again, might go back here. I need to add some lights. It's a little light themed. When I look back at it afterwards, it looks a little bare, so I'll probably go back and just tidy it up, and then what we will be doing is one last little video, just a couple of minutes long, of some little just like a walkthrough of the area really, and going through everything we've done in the western area before we move on to the pirate area. So the changes will be shown in that. I found these lovely archways. These are really nice. Can't wait to use these more in the pirate area. We're going to be doing a very sort of traditional kind of pirates versus colonies type area, with the pirate ship and a couple of coasters as well, big coasters this time as well. Now we're getting more into the park. This area is mostly sort of family rides, but we definitely want to start building some of the awesome coasters that are in the game. Consider adding a clock there. I realise it's a bit too big, but we add one somewhere else, and we finish off with a few hitching posts and a few benches. We actually get rid of those because people sit on them the wrong way around. So instead, because people aren't walking there now, I thought it'd be quite nice to have a bit of scenery. And I think that's really nice that you can't really see where the path ends and the scenery begins. And I think it makes it very sort of realistic. Parks, they do have these sort of set pieces where you can go and you can chuck your kid on and have a photo tuck and things like that. So I think they're important to work a way of doing those in Planet Coaster. So here we go, we've got this little gap here. It's not quite big enough for a building, and I didn't want to cover up poor Ellie too much either. So we actually built a little sort of train station. This is very inspired by the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando. They have the Hogwarts Express. They actually have a Hogwarts Express ride now, but before that was there, they have a Hogwarts Express in Hogsmeade that's sort of set up that you can have your photo tuck in front of, and this was very much inspired by that. I thought, as well as Ellie, people would probably come and have photos taken with the train as well. And also, it's just a chance of using some of the final Western pieces that we've not used yet in the area, because, like I say, we are moving away from the Western area soon. So we've got the train that we've used already, but there was also this really awesome passenger carriage that we hadn't used. So I added that in and extend. You'll see here we extend the station. At the moment, it just kind of ends this station. I can't think of a decent way of closing it off. I don't know whether to carry the track off into the trees so it just sort of gets lost in the distance. I'm not too sure. But for the moment it just kind of ends around there really, and we sort of cover it up with a few bushes. So here I realised that not many people can actually see most of that what we've just built, so instead we carry on the exit path there. So there's a nice sort of scenic walk around the exit there, and you walk past the train and people would have photos taken, things like that. That's one thing, good feature I'd love to see in Planet Coaster. It's not a huge thing, but that'd be a really nice touch, I think, people taking photos, or at least using phones more, you know, these days phones are everywhere and people use them while they're sitting in queues on the rides, or they take selfies and things like that. I think that'd be a really nice touch. We just cap off this oops, missed one. There we go. Cap off the station area with a bit of trimming there, and finally a few special effects just to give it a bit of motion, I guess, even though the train itself doesn't actually move. We had some steam underneath just to make it a little bit more interesting. And I can imagine this is the sort of thing that in a real park, every couple of minutes it would and spout out some steam and you know, shock everyone who's walking past. I realise there's no windows on this, so we go and add in. There's actually a window called train carriage, so we just go and place that in across there. There we go. And that looks pretty good, I think. I'm trying to figure out what to do around the back here, am I? No, just giving up. Never mind, we'll move on. The next thing we do in this episode is going to be a cut in a moment. There it is we fill in our final flat ride here, which is the hyperspin. It's the last sort of westerny themed ride, although it's, I mean, it doesn't, you can get away with this not being a western theme if you change the colours a little and maybe change the music. It comes with the western music built into it, but you could change that. We actually make it very westerny. We change the colours to sort of browns and oranges and yellows and things like that, but again, we're carrying on this theme of the travelling fair come to town, so we pretty much copy over everything from the whirligig and reuse it here. It's quite a simple build, but it fills that gap nicely, and and carries on the sort of this sort of idea of the fair coming to town. I think it cuts away for a moment here because I'm trying to figure out what to call it. I was trying to think of something that's felt westerny and things like that. And I actually remembered years ago there was a theme park in the UK called the American Adventure, and it was basically a western themed theme park. And there was lots of it wasn't very good, it was quite small, it was mostly for younger kids, but they had a ride there called the Yankee Clicker that I remember quite well, and so I had the idea of from that, and then this became the Yankee Spinner, because obviously it spins around. I felt that fit quite well. And then we take these fences that we made before. Again, the theme here is that the fair has come and the fences are sort of thrown up, and we had lots of luggage and boxes and crates and things like that to the area as well. And then we basically finish off the area with some greenery, because one thing I noticed is we don't have much greenery down here, and although we've gone for a relatively sort of deserty setting for the most of the western area, apart from the promenade, a theme park would still have a lot of vegetation, a lot of luscious vegetation, although it uses like I said before in the videos, I don't want this to be a realistic western town. I want it to be a realistic theme park version of a western town. So even though the area is done out as a very sort of dry desert mining town, it would still have trees around the outside, and also they're a great way to block line of sight. Obviously, once the train has left the western area, we want the train to carry on and not think about the western area and think about more the pirate area that we're moving into. So yeah, we cover it with a lot of vegetation in a little while. Now, once that outside path is in, the outside fencing even, I take away the floor there and add the fencing in. There's a light there that's actually shining up towards the western promenade. I forget to move it, but it will be moved. Don't worry, it's not going to stay there and look awkward. Those lights were never sort of permanent anyway. They were just to sort of light it up for some screenshots. Lighting is one still thing I need to really work on. For the most part, I'm a bit guilty of just sort of sticking the clock to 10 o'clock and not really worrying about it. So I do need to go back and have a look at lighting and make sure the place looks good at night as well. There we go. We just sort of fill off some of the areas here with some of the luggage and crates and oil lamps and things like that, just to make it look like this ride's been set up and sort of thrown together for a few weeks while the fair's in town. I'm sad to see the western area go, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. I've not been a huge fan of the wooden walls that you're relatively limited to, but I think the actual scenery pieces are fantastic. All these sort of crates and oil lamps and bits of rigging and stuff are all really good. I mean, obviously some of them will probably run over into the pirate area as well, as the barrels have here, which are basically piratey, but we've used them here as well. But yeah, I've really enjoyed using the western scenery and the other things like the caravans and the train and all that. It's been a really nice set to work with, and I think we've managed to get a pretty good variation in the buildings we've done as well and the rides we've done. Really nice to be starting a new area, but yeah, I've really enjoyed doing the western stuff overall. Where are we up to now? Oh, we're just changing the music. The music it was set to was the... Oh, I forget what it's called now, but it's basically the rip-roaring Western music, which is actually the music that we've got through the park, which is something you won't have heard because these are always time-lapsed. But in the next video, when we do an overview, you'll hear the music. We've put the speakers potted around all over the place. So instead, I actually want the rides here to play the carousel-type music. Again, to sort of strengthen the idea that it's a travelling fair. That's the sort of music they would have, a little music box inside that would spin. We separate a little area here just so we can see some of the lake that still needs a lot of work. In fact, that's probably the first thing we're going to be doing in the pirate area is fixing that lake. Here I'm just having a look at full load, and whether or not the rides are on full load. I know it doesn't really matter for the sandbox, but you know, you still want people to be getting through the queues and not getting annoyed. So again, here we use a lot of greenery that you probably wouldn't really have, but it is the end of the area, you know, the edging of the area. We tie it in using a lot of this creosote bushes down the front, but for the most part this is a little bit of a stretch regarding the theming, and we finish off this little open area here with our last sort of themed set piece, which is a little camp. I'm guessing maybe the camp of the people who are setting the rides up, or maybe it's just a cowboy camp, I don't know. We finish off a few of the areas there with some bushes, and then fill out some larger trees at the back there. Again, it just creates a nice line of sight and closes off the western area naturally, without having to use sort of large buildings or things like that. Okay, that's pretty much the end of the time lapse. There we go. Last thing we do is just move the laboratories over. Also, thank you very much to everyone who pointed out that the word is apothecary and not what did I put? I put apothecary, but the word is apothecary. So thank you very much to everyone who pointed that out. It has been changed. And also a few of those buildings I've changed to look a little bit more Western as well. I don't think some of them... I was trying a few different styles and really they didn't really work. So I've gone back to sort of the flat-roofed, fronted buildings. But again, you'll see that when we have a go-over in the next video. There's also one more thing I need you guys to do for me regarding this Western area. We're going to cut now to some of the glamour shots, as we call them, and have a good look round. So here we go. We've got the hyperspin, or the Yankee spinner as we now know it, sits quite nicely there, just sort of finishing off the sort of fair coming to town theme. And here we can see the train coming into the station. Not yet usable. In fact, it won't be usable right until the very end of this series, until we finally link the line back up to the front of the park. And here's a little overview of the train that people will see as they come in. And then finally, we still have this area here. You can't see because of the end plate, I apologise, but there's an area in between the promenade and the chairplane I have no idea what to do with. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like, and if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.